Good day, everyone. So, hope you're having a good weekend so far. So, let's talk a bit about horizontal versus vertical investment in Genshin Impact. Horizontal investing just basically means that you try and get as many characters as you can possibly get for your account, whereas vertical investing refers to the fact that you might wish to go for a C2 or a C1 constellation, or perhaps like an exclusive 5-star weapon. And obviously, the idea here is that by vertically investing, you gain more power for that specific character. And this is an interesting topic. So, do you go for variety or do you go for a bit of a power boost, or is there a good middle ground that you can take? I think this is a very interesting topic we can talk about, and in my opinion, the solution from a very practical and psychological perspective would be to get as many horizontal characters as you can during the early patches or versions of any major region, and to then go for the vertical investing towards the end. So let me give you an example. If you were to get all of your Sumru characters between 3.0 and 3.4, that's going to give you enough time to pick up a lot of the new characters that Hoya obviously wants to market with the new Sumru region. Whereas if you then start saving up for the dead so-called patches in air quotes between, let's say, 3.4 and 3.8, you can then use those as opportunities to build out some of your more favorite characters, even if it's just getting one constellation, let's say, on your favorite Kokomi or something like that. That to me would make the most psychological sense, because on the one hand you don't really want to miss out on the new funky units that everyone else is definitely going to get, but on the other hand you also want to take a bit of pride in the fact that you've had this Genshin Impact journey with your favorite characters, and there is something to be said about feeling good that your favorite character is nice and strong. I think there is a balance in that psychology that a lot of players might aspire to, and it's certainly something that is possible. You can get one or two new characters for the new region, and then perhaps one or two constellations for your favorite characters, and just balance that out for the majority of players. And I also think from an economy perspective, so what I mean by that is from an in-game resources and farming perspective, that might also be one of the more preferred solutions, because if you have too many characters, then as an F2P you would have to spend an inordinate amount of time and resources just building them up and getting them all to level 90 full like talents and so on. It really is a resource drain, and unless you've been playing since day one every single day and you've got the time to do so, it's just something that's not practical, I feel, for the majority of players. Not all of us can make Genshin a full-time job. And I think that's why, if you have a bit of a blended approach to this, you can get the best of both worlds while still, in a certain sense, min-maxing on your economy. So let's talk then a bit about what the advantages are of like just doing horizontal investing. Obviously, the more teams you have and the more characters you have, the more ways you can enjoy your favorite characters, because there are potentially new synergies that are going to unlock and that will allow you to play with your character potentially in a very different way. I think a good example of this is if you're someone that picked up Kokomi and then you picked up Nilo, because what you now have is that with all the different playstyles you have with Kokomi, you now have another team that you can just use Kokomi in a very satisfying and meta way. So Kokomi, Nahida, Nilo, it just opens up an opportunity for your favorite character Kokomi. And of course, if you're going to go with the vertical investing route, then it just means that your consistency of beating the spiral abyss is just going to go up. So this obviously does depend on character from character, but let's say you are someone that loves the Raiden national team. Getting Raiden at C2 will give you a bit of higher consistency, a bit more leeway, because you've just have that extra bit of damage. So the more damage you have, the more you can afford to make mistakes and still clear the spiral abyss. This is the thing about constellations and making characters stronger. You have a higher margin for error, but you also have then more time that you save when it comes to beating the spiral abyss. And ironically enough, from a vertical investing perspective, you have the advantage that even if the spiral abyss is difficult, you can sometimes even brute force it very easily. or it becomes easier to find from your more limited teams ways to brute force the abyss, whereas in your horizontal teams, you might be stuck in a situation where you now have to build this one character simply because your other teams might not have all of the power. We've certainly seen it with that infamous previous power abyss that we've had. But in any case, these are just some of the high level considerations. You guys can obviously think about it, but I do think that from a more like down to earth perspective, what players want is you want your favorite character. You also want to be careful with how you manage your resources in the game, and I think the best way to accommodate that while still having someone keep up, relatively speaking, with the meta might be this idea of a blended approach. So you go for new characters during the beginning patches, and then you perhaps go for some of your older characters once the regions and the patches start drying up, because inevitably Genshin is just a roller coaster of like highs, the new fancy patch, everyone's all excited, there's lots of FOMO, and then obviously the lows where we have to effectively wait for new content because we don't have any sensible end game. Right, that is it from my side. Let me know what you guys think, if there's anything obvious that I've missed, if there's anything that you feel I said that was incorrect, I'd love to know it. And then, yeah, let's have a discussion in the comment section. Keep well. Cheers.